Among the initiatives scheduled in Taiwan in the frame of the 5th edition of the Week of Italian Cuisine in the World, a special mention goes to an event focused on the Mediterranean diet. Organized by Future Food Institute in cooperation with the Italian institutions in Taiwan, the event will involve two chefs from Italy and Taiwan in sharing their recipes. On the occasion of the Week of Italian Cuisine in the World, we realize a special brochure dedicated to the Mediterranean diet, which has been distributed to media and businesses in Taiwan. In few pages, there is the description of the benefits and characteristics of the Mediterranean diet, as explained by an Italian expert in the sector. As director of the Italian Trade Agency in Taiwan, I wish the best success to the event, and I'm confident that it will be one more step to strengthen the relationship and cooperation between Italy and Taiwan.
Welcome everyone, I'm Sara Roversi, I'm the founder of the Future Food Institute and I'm very glad to be with you today. I have to thank first of all Mr. Quattrocchi from the Italian Trade Agency and Davide Giglio, who's representing the Italian Ministers of Foreign Affairs in Taiwan. Today with you, we are of course celebrating the Italian excellencies and the week celebrating the Italian cuisine in the world, but also for us, it's a way to celebrate Mediterranean diet. 2020 marks the 10th anniversary of the nomination of the Mediterranean diet as one of the UNESCO World Heritage. And of course, we consider it also an Italian legacy. I'm not going to be alone today because I'm very glad to have with me Stefano Pisani, mayor of the city of Pollica, who's the village, one of the 7 emblematic communities recognized by UNESCO, and actually Pollica is the Italian representative of Mediterranean diet, and also our José de la Rosa, who's the head of our food alchemist team. He is the culinary scientist working in the Future Food organization, And he's the one creating the magic, starting from starting from food ingredients. He is the one combining science, culinary art, but also the sustainable development goals, where we see Mediterranean diet as one of the best examples to design a sustainable framework for our eating habits and lifestyle. When I started the Future Food Ecosystem 7 years ago, I was really intrigued by the thoughts around food that are really highlighting all the different shades and all the different values related to food. Food is energy, food is life, food is connection, socialization, food is traditions, food is everything for us because it's the thing that is connecting us with the world. Is identity, rituals, but also food is a language. We don't need to speak the language of another country when we have the chance to taste the flavors, the consistency, the mood, the sounds, and live a food experience. Food is the first language. But also, we know that the entire food system is one of the sector that first of all is connecting all of us. And second, is connecting all of us with all the most relevant challenges the entire humanity is facing. The first picture here is showing us the big challenges that we are facing by thinking that we need to feed the planet, a planet where still we know that there are tons of paradoxes, millions of people fighting for malnutrition because they have different disease related to their eating habits, and millions of people fighting because they don't have access to food. But we have 2 billion of people fighting for overnutrition and 8 million people dying for hunger. Then we have another paradox, because the entire food industry is one of the industries that is very much affected by the effect of climate change, but also is one of those that are the most responsible for the impact on the planet, because the 37% of the global gas emission are generated by our wrong eating habits and our obsolete way of producing food that still are not taking care about the environment enough. And last is thinking about food waste, because we know that 1/3 of the food globally produced is not ending in our plates, but is wasted. And when we think about this 1/3, we need to count 1/3 of the energy used, 1/3 of the water used to grow this food, the labor, all the resources that have been wasted with this 1/3 of food that is gonna end up in the trash. So thinking about the values of food and thinking about the challenges that the food system is facing, we are thinking also about the future. How much we're going to feed 10 billion people in a sustainable way? Which are the sustainable eating habits, the sustainable lifestyle we should implement to leave the planet like a better place? And so starting with this big question on mind, we created Future Food. We created the Future Food Institute, and we started really investigating how technology, with the cultural revolution we have been facing in the past decades, has been really hacking and transforming our relationship with food and with the environment. Starting with how we produce food, which are the new models that we are implementing in the production system. Thinking about the topic of making food accessible, affordable for all, and safe for all. Thinking about the values that we give to food, food as a medicine, and food and the new foods that the world is going to eat in the future. the lifestyle, and how our lifestyle is changing due to technologies that are transforming our interactions with kitchens, but also with the cooking habits, and how much we're cooking, how much we're preserving our tradition, how much we are spending time in the kitchen. And last but not least, how technologies have been changing our awareness related to food, and how much we know about the food we are eating now. To do that was a complex goal. We actually decided to create an ecosystem, not a company, not one startup, not one organization, but we understood that we needed to create something more. A group of people working all for the same mission, and an ecosystem that can actually help the entire global food system to face the challenges we know are the most relevant for the entire humanity. So to do that, we created an ecosystem that is focused on three main pillars. The knowledge one, education, running programs, master's programs, school programs, activities that we run together with different United Nations agencies, and trying to engage the broader society, organizations, institutions, a process that is both top-down and bottom-up. Then we understood that it was needed to find physical space that actually can host people, that can facilitate casual collision, that can host young innovators, that needs to prototype in a safe environment. And those hubs, those living labs, are crossroads where we try to involve the entire community, the industry, institutions, and youth, innovators, scientists. Last but not least, we talk about innovation, and we have an R&D team that is based in different parts of the world, in Asia, US, and Europe as well. And this team is working and supporting the industry and institution to, accelerate the transition that is needed now. To do that, we created a global ecosystem because we strongly believe that the challenges we are facing are planetarian challenges, are humanitarian challenges, are not the challenges of us living in Italy. So it's something that we decided to spread around the world, creating a global network. But so we know how much food is interconnected with the topic of sustainability. And this is the picture that I like the most, because we started really to connect all the 17 sustainable development goals with the topic of food. And we suddenly saw that food is interconnected with everything, all our actions. And we were looking for a solution. We were looking for something that could help us to navigate the complexity. And we found the answers going back in the history. Today, we're here celebrating Mediterranean diet. And I want to talk to you about Mediterranean diet because we found on Mediterranean diet many of the answers to the big questions we had. This year, with the global pandemic, my life completely changed. My life completely changed because I was used to fly around the world every week in a different continent, visiting our colleagues around, and I was not focused enough on the true essential values of what we do. This year, we had the chance to stay more in our country and to host at least one of our boot camps that we organized together with FAO that was already planned, and where the main topic was designing climate smart kitchens, sustainable kitchens, and study how we're going to eat in the future, which are the lifestyle and the eating habits that can really help us to develop a new way of living within the Sustainable Development Framework. So our bootcamp was hosted in Pollica from Mayor Pisani and from the entire community. In September, we were there and we involved the students coming almost from all over the world. It was pretty amazing to not only talk about amazing food, tasty food and recipe, but actually to discover which are the values of Mediterranean diet. We have been talking about sustainable development goals. Sustainable development goals came to life in 2015, have been announced in 2015. The same year in Italy, we were hosting the World Expo in Milan, where the main topic was feeding the planet, energy for life. And again, the same year in Paris, in December, have been signed the Paris Agreement. In COP21, for the first time, all the member states agreed on which are the targets we need to achieve to protect the environment. So it was an important year, 2015. And I think that that was really a milestone, because for the first time, people started understanding the deep connection between the health of the planet and the health of people. If we now take the Mediterranean diet and the origins and the history of Mediterranean diet, we can easily see how many connections there are. And there were there since almost 2,500 years. Yes, because in Pollica, in Cilento, just a few kilometers from Pollica actually, in Velia, Elea Velia, some philosophers, Zenone and Parmenide, were already studying the relationship and the need of finding balance and harmony between humans and planet. And we started our boot camp this summer in Pollica, really sitting on the ruins where Zeno and Parmenide were debating and studying and thinking about this concept, the concept of nature and man living in harmony with nature. And I'm talking about them because, of course, if we think about Mediterranean diet, we need to go back in the history and find and trying to connect the dots within the industry. And those dots are going to connect us and show us what's the picture of the Mediterranean diet that we know today. I want to still stay in the same area, Cilento and the Mediterranean basins, and let's say the same geographical place, just a few kilometers away. We found out that after some centuries, there were another school that came to life. It was not related to philosophy or philosophers, but actually we found that the Scuola Medica Salernitana, the medical school from Salerno, came to life. And Scuola Medica Salernitana was declared as one of, or the first Western medical school that came to life. So again, we're talking about something that is healing and is healing people here. So in the same place, in the same area, some centuries after the philosophers, some centuries after the establishment of the first medical school in the Middle Age, the Scuola Medica Salernitana, we had two other very important people that create another milestones, that marked another milestones in our calendar, that are Margaret and Ansel Keys. Those two scientists came in Italy from US after the World War. After the World War, they came to Italy, and they basically were very curious about the life and the longevity of the population living in this specific area of Mediterranean. And they started studying the correlation between their lifestyle, the food that they were eating, the ecosystem where they were living, and the different disease overall related to cardiovascular disease. Understanding that this specific way of living, that is named Mediterranean diet, diet in Greek means lifestyle, not just what we're eating, but a complete set of values, rituals, process, and of course also ingredients, but not only ingredients, commensality, socialization, a set of cultural elements that are creating the concept of Mediterranean diet. So studying that, they marked for the first time the name Mediterranean diet, a way to eat well and stay well. Margaret and Ansel Keys are two very famous scientists. Ansel Keys was the inventor of the K ration of the American soldiers. They were studying those topics very deeply, and they basically made the miracle happen. So finally, we had the Mediterranean diet declared as something that the entire world now knows. Of course, those informations in the past decades have been studied from many different perspectives. And all of those studies gave us the opportunity really to understand which is in depth the relationships between good health and what is good for our, say, our way of living from the medical perspective and the impact of what we are eating on our health. So thinking about food as a medicine, but also our planet. And after some years, this picture came to life. And many organizations started studying the correlation between what we are eating and the pyramid of Mediterranean diet and the impact on the environment, finding that there were a perfect balance. So here I want to go back to our friends Parmenide and Zeno, that 2,500 years ago were already studying this balance, saying that this is actually what we should follow. Always picking foods that can, of course, be good and beneficial for us, but also that are not killing the environment. And this is the perfect example of the Mediterranean diet. And this is the reason why we consider Mediterranean diet as the perfect way of living in balance with the ecosystem. So, of course, Mediterranean diet, I think, is a beautiful example of what we need now. Why? Because it's not something that belongs just to Italy, but it's something that is celebrating diversity. And diversity is something that we need to celebrate nowadays. We need to learn how to celebrate diversity and to understand that diversity is a value. It's something that is enriching everyone. And this is the perfect example of the Mediterranean diet and the Mediterranean cuisines. Mediterranean diet has been declared 10 years ago from UNESCO as one of the world's heritage, intangible heritage. And UNESCO identified the 7 emblematic communities that are representing Mediterranean diet. For Italy, Pollica, and let's say not only Pollica, but Cilento, so an entire area, not just one city, because the visionary mayor Angelo Vassallo many years ago said, no, we should not just candidate one city, but the entire region. This region is the one still representing and embedding all the values of Mediterranean diet. So now I just want to leave you to the more actionable part of our workshop. But before that, I want to invite you. I want to invite you because we strongly believe that to keep Mediterranean diet alive for the next centuries and millennials ahead, we need to invest a lot. invest in education, and this is what we do within the future food ecosystem, build the community and feed the community, but overall, being able to innovate within tradition. And this is something that is such an important challenge everywhere, because every country, every region, every city has food traditions to preserve, but not preserve like in a cage. Preserve, being able to renovate them and drive them to the next future ahead. Future Food is very proud to be one of the partners of the FAO, but the partner that created a very specific program together with FAO, the Food and Climate Shapers Bootcamp. And I'm talking to you about that because this is an invite to the entire community. And we really care about training next generation ahead, but also create spaces for people to share knowledge about ancient traditions and learn how to create a climate conscious way of living. We know that Pollica and Cilento is a great source of inspiration for all of that. And we hosted in 2020 an amazing bootcamp together with all our guests from all over the world and of course also FAO. And now we want to invite you in 2021 to take part in our Food and Climate Shapers Bootcamp, a Mediterranean edition, because Mediterranean diet is something that you can learn, of course, reading a book, but trust me, living Mediterranean diet in the place where it was born is such an incredible gift. So now I leave you with José, I leave you with our team, and I invite you to come and visit us in Pollica and to spread the word and get inspired by the Mediterranean diet.
When we talk about the Mediterranean diet, many people think only to the food. Few know that the Mediterranean diet is a lifestyle made up of culture, millenary tradition that from ancient Greece to today have consolidated to become a development model that over time has allowed to preserve the environment and biodiversity in the place where it was predicated. Pollica is one of those places where the Mediterranean diet has always been predicated, and where a now famous American scientist Ansel Keys discovered the Mediterranean diet. Yes, I am the mayor of Pollica, but Pollica is a really fantastic thing. Pollica, for this reason, was recognized as an emblematic community of intangible heritage by UNESCO, because as a place that still today contains the essential future Mediterranean diet. I could continue to tell you many more things about Mediterranean diet, but time would never be enough, and then I wish you all good work, and remember, to discover true secrets of Mediterranean diet, there are only two things to do. Visit the places of Mediterranean diet, such as Pollica and Cilento, the national park on Cilento, and eat good Italian food. The result? You could live over 100 years old. Thank you, see you next time, and when you want, can you visit Pollica in the southern of Italy.
Hello everyone, this is José de la Rosa, live from the Food Alchemist Lab of the Future Food Institute, based in Bologna. Today we are connecting with Taiwan, and I want to show you from the Italian side a recipe based in three main ingredients: broccoli, potatoes and strawberries, special strawberries from the summer. I will explain you how. So we are gonna start by peeling the potatoes because we are gonna bake them in the oven. First things, take a bowl so we can recover the skin. We are gonna then fry this skin, we are gonna reuse it. Also, some of the remaining parts of the potato because we are gonna give them a nice shape, so then we can make a beautiful dish. So when we have peeled it, we are gonna cut it in half, alright? But in half through the, how to say, long edge. Okay? At this point, we are gonna give them a sharp shape, let's say. Kind of a leaf somehow, no? And we are gonna see it from up. It's gonna be somehow a leaf, or at least that's what I pretend. We don't throw away these parts, okay? We put them together with the skin. So then, after this process, we are gonna fry them, and we are gonna have super crispy remaining parts of the potato. So we somehow justify this shape that we are making because we are not wasting anything. At the Food Alchemist Lab, we love to give a super beautiful aspect. We want to highlight those products that are considered poor, no? Somehow potatoes, broccoli, and that is why we decide to represent our Mediterranean diet by using these ingredients as the main ones, no? More or less something like this, okay? We're gonna continue with the other one. Of course, I got the oven ready at 180 degrees Celsius, and we are gonna cook these potatoes for 35 minutes. They are quite small, and then I'm gonna make a special cut, so it's gonna cook even faster. We'll give same shape to this one. Okay, so as said, we're gonna recover all these remaining parts to make them super crispy, like chips. Then we're gonna add it to the plate, okay, to the final dish. We have here the potato already shaped, and now we're gonna make a special cut. By placing the finger here, we are, somehow stopping when we are cutting, okay? So, right, at the end we're gonna get this texture, this shape that is gonna accelerate the penetration of heat, so we are gonna cook it faster, and also it's gonna absorb easier the salt and the spices that we are gonna add. Once this is done, I'm gonna add a little bit of oil, okay, into my oven tray. right? We are gonna place them oven tray, and we are gonna add a little bit of salt. We're gonna make a massage so it penetrates. And then also some paprika with cumin. We make our own mix. We love this. And then we're gonna finish by putting a little bit more of oil on top. Once this is done, 180 degrees Celsius, as I said, for around 35 minutes. Okay? Arrived to this point, I am also boiling water. Why? We are going to use this boiling water to cook our broccoli. First of all, we are going to separate the main tree, let's say. We're going to separate it from the tail. This part normally is thrown away, but it's perfect for making creams and puree. So basically we are going to clean it just a little bit. These remaining parts we could even fry them in the same way we did with the potatoes, and also have some chips. I already got enough crispiness into my dish, so I'm not gonna make it. I'm not wasting that much, just a little bit. Alright, so I place inside the tail of the broccoli, and it's starting to boil like a potato. For sure it's gonna take longer than the upper part, the trees. We are gonna divide them, okay, in little pieces, and we are gonna place them when we finish on top of the colander. So this part is gonna be cooked, it's gonna be steamed. It's always way better to steam the broccoli rather than boiling it. It gets really soaked, really tender and watery, so we don't want that. We want to, I'm gonna also do that one, right? We don't want that. We want the broccoli crunchy, keeping all its property, all its color. Again, the thickest part, we put it inside. And once we have divided this, we are gonna place it on top of the colander, so it gets steamed. And now my colleague is gonna help me also to fry these remaining parts from the potatoes, as said, while we are cooking the broccoli. Thank you. Do not forget to cover the broccoli and add, of course, a little bit of salt, both in the water and both on top of the little trees. Okay? And we are gonna cover it, so we make sure they get steamed enough. Now we are gonna speak about the strawberries. These strawberries are from May, June, if I can remind good. These are strawberries that have been lacto-fermented. 2% of salt in a vacuum bag, and leaf fermented for around 3 weeks in this case. It's quite fermented, fizzy, and with a nice touch of lactic acid. And we are gonna use them also in our plate to give some sharpness, to make it funnier, no? To make it fresher. I want to explain you also and speak a little bit about spirulina. Okay, this is spirulina. This is spirulina. It's an alga. Actually, it's not an alga. It's a cyanobacteria. It's called. It's like a microalga. The particularity of this ingredient, First, it's Italian. It's produced here. This one specific. So that's why I wanted also to introduce it in this Mediterranean diet. And the reason why we are using it is because of its high content in proteins. 60% of proteins is one of the ingredients with higher content in proteins. And speaking always in plant-based proteins. They contain also a lot of oligominerals, like for example iron is the main one. That's why its flavor could remind also to blood. And we are going to introduce it in our puree, in our cream that we are going to make with the tail of the broccoli to give these proteins. These proteins that somehow we are lacking. So that's why we're using the spirulina. So we got a plate, a dish that has the perfect balance between carbohydrates, fibers, proteins, and of course vitamins. Vitamins that are coming from the strawberries, like the vitamin C, and also from the group B, just because of the fermentation process that raise and enhance the presence of this kind of vitamins. And then we got, of course, the vitamin K from the broccoli. We have also a nice iron content in the broccoli. At the end, we are building a dish that is going to be balanced. At the end, it's the goal. It's what is behind of a Mediterranean diet, the Mediterranean philosophy. Okay, so the broccoli is ready. The broccoli is steamed and the tails are boiled. I cooked more than that you saw because I have to feed the whole team, so I cook more. And we got also ready the chips. I'm gonna show to the camera. These are the remaining parts from the potato that you saw before. Again, broccoli steamed and tail boiled. What are we gonna do now? We are gonna make a cream with the tail. Okay, so we are gonna reserve this broccoli for later. It's already done. We are gonna add all these tails within the smoothie machine, the blender, and I'm gonna add just a little bit of the coction water. Just a little bit, not too much. Then if we need more, we will add it. What else? Pinch of salt. Spirulina, the alga, okay? And we are gonna add also this, I didn't mention before. This is rosemary dehydrated and then we made a powder. So we give also this Mediterranean character and flavor. Okay? We are gonna start blending them slowly. Got a little bit more of water, said before. Push everything a little bit more. Thanks to the proteins of the spirulina, if we start to add a little bit of olive oil, we are going to have an emulsion, and that's what we are going to make now. So once it is enough crushed, enough blended, we are going to put it in the minimum power, and we are going to add, like if we are making a mayonnaise, okay, now, of course, extra virgin olive oil. I don't care if it's too strong the flavor. Also, the spirulina is quite strong, so in this case, extra virgin olive oil. And this is done. Okay, so our emulsion is ready. Okay, now what we are gonna make is we are gonna filter it, just in case there is some remaining pieces. We want to get an homogeneous texture. Filter our emulsion, our cream. Right? So, our final result, really emulsified, really creamy. Okay, so our potatoes are ready, as you can see. We got our steamed broccoli, our cream made out of the tails of broccoli, emulsified with oil, spirulina, algae spirulina, and rosemary powder. We got our lacto-fermented strawberries. I already cut them in spikes, and I left also a little bit of the fermented liquid. And then we got also our potato chips. So let's start to play. We are gonna start by adding our emulsified cream. Then we're gonna place our potatoes. Now we are gonna make a little bread, our crispies. Now we start to place our broccoli. A little bit more of crunchy on top. This would be our final dish of potato, broccoli, and strawberries. Okay, so I hope you really like the recipe. I went to switch on again the camera, and when I came back, this was what I found. I hope that you're gonna remember the picture that we shared before. The only thing that I can say is it's delicious. Thank you so much, and hope to see you very soon.
Thank you so much, Davide Giglio and Mr. Quattrocchi, and all the friends being with us today in Taipei. Thank you so much, Major Pisani. Thank you so much, José de la Rosa, and all our guests. It was great to taste a little bit Mediterranean diet and all the different cuisines around. It was great to be with you. We wait you in Pollica, and let's remember that each time we gather around the table, we are honoring our past, we are experiencing the present, and we are preparing for our future. Grazie. Ciao.